Don't worry about the sodium. If anything, I urge you to add more sodium because that's how you're going to have more energy. It's actually great pre-workout when you're doing carnivore or keto even. Yeah. Exactly. It leads your body to retain also the water. And so when you have more water in your body, so your blood volume goes back up again and it fills your blood vessels. So your blood pressure goes to a normal range. So not too high, but not too low. And that is going to give you energy and you're not going to feel lethargic.
Hello everybody, welcome to the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast. This is your weekly dose of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym. And if you listen through to the entire episode, at the end we will announce a very special discount code exclusive to podcast listeners that you can use on anything on our website. And a quick reminder before we get started, if you look down below, you will see three items. You will see a thumbs up, which is like. You will see an arrow, which means share, and you will see a subscribe link. So I'm asking you to please smash that like button. If you really don't like this episode, you can always change it to a thumbs down later. We're probably going to get a couple of those because we're talking about the carnivore diet and eating meat and how much more beneficial that is than a plant-based diet. So yeah, we're probably going to get a couple of those. But I'm promising you that if you are really truthfully looking for answers to your health problems, a meat-based diet is going to be really key for you, okay? So listen to what Dr. Sarah has to say on this. I believe it's going to be life-changing for you. And while you're at it, think of somebody else that you know that could really benefit from what Dr. Sarah has to say, and go ahead and share it with them, please, okay? After you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss more content around carnivore diets, around low-carb, around competing on a low-carb diet, looking your best, feeling your best, supersetting your life, hit that subscribe button and you will see a bell icon that shows up after you hit subscribe. If you hit that bell icon, you will be notified when more episodes are available. We have one every single Saturday morning, okay? That's our hard work and our promise to you guys. Let's get into it right now. Here is Dr. Sarah.Zaldivar.
Yep.
Welcome everybody to episode 91 of the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast. Today we have Dr. Sarah.Zaldivar. She is a nutrition professor at Miami Dade College. She earned her PhD in exercise physiology and nutrition at the University of Miami. Dr. Sarah is another carnivore success story herself. You can check out her YouTube channel. We've been binging it like all morning. Got some good questions that we're going to ask and can't wait to see what she says. But she's got a ton of education and practical helps on the carnivore diet. You can check out her YouTube channel. We'll put a link to all these in the description, but it is Dr. Sarah.Zaldivar. Instagram is dr.sarah.zaldivar. Email, we're going to put links to those in the show notes. And so Dr. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Cole. Thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you.
Yay.
As much as I want to dive into the questions right away, would you please just share, how did this carnivore lifestyle begin for you?
Well, it really didn't begin with carnivore. It began a very long time ago when I was 18. Around 18, I guess you could say, is when I started really getting bothered by acne that I was having. And I tried every single treatment under the sun. I did antibiotics, I did birth control pills, I did spironolactone for 2 years, I did Accutane twice. Nothing worked. Yes. And I was at my wit's end. As a matter of fact, Accutane made it worse. For the first time in my life, I started having cystic acne, and then I would pick at them and then it would leave scars and I wouldn't leave the house and I would cry and it was very traumatic.
Yeah.
So that started me on the whole functional medicine and just going against the mainstream because I had firsthand experience that mainstream conventional medicine just does not work because I saw all the dermatologists and all they would do is see you for a few minutes and I was also, even with that, I was doing all the research, and I would literally go and tell them, this is what I've done, this is what I think is happening. Like, even with that, I would feed them the science, and then I would tell them what they need to give me, because I still believe that it's a drug that was going to heal my skin. And they would oblige, but eventually, after I exhausted every option available, the only thing that worked was spironolactone, but it really, just because it mimicked a low carb environment, but then it messed up my hormones. And like I had no DHEA to speak of, which is similar to a form of testosterone in your body. So when I realized what was happening, I freaked out and I just quit it that same day. And so from there, because I literally had no more options, conventional medicine just didn't know what to do with me anymore. And so every time, I'm a big nerd. I read a lot and I watch a lot of documentaries and things like that. So after I was put in that situation, plus weight struggles, I guess that's another major thing. I would, every time something like that would happen and I would be at my wit's end, I would go and buy all the books and do all my research. And then once I find some new idea, I'm like, okay, now we're gonna try this, and it was a cycle. I would try so many different things. So first thing that worked was a paleo diet. I read The Diet Cure by Dr. Lauren Cordain, and it worked. It definitely cleared up my skin like no other drug could, but not as much as keto. So that was my introduction to paleo. From there, I realized, well, if I do keto, then it gets even better. And then keto, it was a problem for me because I have a lot of, like we spoke on our interview last time, Colt, eating disorder, sugar addiction. I've struggled with depression, suicidal ideation, very serious attempts, which I've spoken about in an interview like a couple of weeks ago, but let's not get into that. The point is, it was very, like my mental health is also another big factor, so
yeah.
And that, you see that a lot also, by the way, mental health with sugar addiction, because it literally messes the neurochemistry in your brain and your dopamine receptors and all that stuff. So from there, I realized that it wasn't working because I was still getting all of the sweet keto stuff. I'm still binging on keto stuff. I still have cravings. I'm still struggling, and I'm doing all these things and waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and killing myself, working out and doing all those things. And I would get results, but then I would literally undo them in a few days just of eating whatever. It's so easy to undo the everything you worked for. And so that is eventually what brought me to carnivore. Carnivore literally wipes out the cravings, because if you're not eating addictive foods, then you don't suffer the withdrawal stage of addiction, which is when you have cravings, right? You do the abstinence part will basically clear your cravings. Now, it doesn't mean you will never feel cravings. That's not realistic. We have deep-rooted, habits and like things we do with food when we get stressed or emotional, and that's fine. But compared to how frequent it was when I would still include carbs and I would still do keto but sweet stuff, that trigger just stayed there for me, and it just made it, I just had to work so much harder to benefit, so that's why I do carnivore.
Wow. Thank you so much for that.
I have a question. Well, I was just curious, when you were on keto, did you do like a dirty keto? So you were still eating like the sugar, alcohol, and oopsie.
Yeah.
Just like,
I would
substitute.
Yeah, I would. I would, there was even a phase, like if you go back to my YouTube channel, I have a whole playlist of keto desserts that I would do, and I would pump out those recipes and I would learn how to make them. And it's very dangerous to learn what you can do with almond flour and stevia, So not like I wanted to do dirty keto, but it ended up being that way because I would always have the cravings and I would just satisfy them with those foods.
Totally. Yeah.
And I was
We've been there.
scrolling through your playlist this morning and was seeing all those thumbnails and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to keep scrolling. I'm getting hungry looking at those.
I know, it's a trigger.
Well, even like a few weeks ago, was that for Mother's Day, right? Or Easter? I made like strawberries and cream, and then I made some keto biscuits, and then put the strawberries and the whipped cream on top. And even that was like, we had, I think it was like almond flour and a little bit of like stevia, but it can be triggering. I mean, and the whipped cream is for sure triggering.
I ate the entire thing. We didn't have any leftovers.
Oh,
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, I think it looks more restrictive when people hear about carnivore diets. They have a heart attack at first. It's like just meat, but because they don't realize that it feels so freeing. They don't realize how beautiful it is to live in that state where you're not having energy crashes and cravings, mental clarity, the brain fog, all the stuff.
Well, and honestly, how easy it is to like live your life when all you're eating is meat. It's like meal prep is easier. Going out to eat is pretty darn easy. Like people think it's such a restrictive diet and like you can't live your life, but we found the complete opposite.
It's just like that for a couple of days to get past those first couple of days. And I wanted to interrupt you so many times, Dr. Sarah, in your story, because I was like, that's just like me. That's just like me. The same thing to me. Same thing to me. I mean, same thing to both of us, but especially when we cut out like all the processed keto foods. Once we got past all that, now it's like, as somebody like you I don't know, I'm thinking that my eating disorder probably was quite a bit more severe, but regardless, but I don't know, like
I doubt it. I doubt it was more severe than mine.
Well, it's severe in both cases, and an eating disorder is just flat out severe, no matter no matter what the circumstances are. But I can completely relate to you with the more that you are
dialed in,
restrictive to meat as your fuel source, and not, you're not chewing gum all day and having the artificial sweeteners from
or just flavored electrolytes.
Yeah,
people need to pay attention. Now it's the thing.
Yeah, and months ago, I was eating Quest bars and like all kinds of stuff, like just dirty bulking or whatever. I was eating 500-600 grams of protein a day and just like not really caring if extra carbs kind of came and went. But I was hungrier then than I am now. I'm eating half the calories now, 3,000 calories a day on a show prep, and feeling great and feeling satisfied, because it's literally just bacon, eggs, keto bricks, and just real food. It's like, all right, like if every calorie matters, how can we get the most bang for our buck? Like food's sacred when you start show prep, but now it's just like we've gone away with all the vegetables. We've gone away with all the stuff that our bodies don't need, and we feel just like you do. Like it feels great.
Yeah, so much better. A funny story: when I would do keto, I would do zoodles, zucchini noodles. There was a time where I'm just exploring all the keto foods, and it would kick me out of ketosis. I'd be like the most perfect adherence, and I knew for a fact that I should be in ketosis, and I wasn't. And the only thing that was different is that I started doing those zoodles. Because, the seeds and the whole everything in the zucchini.
Gosh, even like the last year, the only vegetables we really ever ate was like cauliflower and then just salad.
Just a couple things that agreed with our body, but it's amazing how we take those out, and now my skin looks better, and now we have like we feel better, even just getting rid of the small amount of vegetables we're eating.
Yeah.
My husband always ate meat. He's also a bodybuilder. And when I first met him, he is. It's like, and he does it easy, for him, he doesn't even work out as much as I do. Like he'll just, lift some weights, and just, anyway, he's great. So he, when I first met him, he's always eaten meats only, and I would get into not fights, but I'd be on his case. You need to eat your fruits and veggies. Like, how can you not eat vegetables? And he wouldn't listen to me. He's like, yeah, okay. The only vegetable though that he did eat was spinach leaves, like a bed of spinach, and then he would cook some meat every day when he would come home from work, either chicken breast or turkey or any kind of meat, just protein, right? and dump that on top of the spinach, not even salad dressings. Like, he doesn't care. Yeah. So, and the only ailment that he ever complained about was low back pain, really bad low back pain. And we just thought it was because he was diagnosed with a bulging disc. Back in the 90s in Miami, there was a hurricane, I think Hurricane Andrew in 1995. My husband is 58, by the way. So just so you know, like, he was already an adult back then. And this tree came, like it fell on his house, and he was trying to move it away from his house, and literally hurt his back like that. Like, he couldn't get up. And since then, you know, all the specialists at the University of Miami, the hospital, Jackson, they're like, you've got a bulging disc, and that's the end of that. You might need surgery. And over time, it just always bothered him, to the point where it got to a point where he was like, okay, I cannot put off the surgery, no matter how risky it is. It's close to my spine and I don't want to do it. But he can't get enough sleep, because he can't be on his back for too long. You know, he can't go on long road trips or sit and watch a 2-hour movie. It would hurt too much. That was around the time where I was figuring out all this stuff and reading about the plant paradox, Dr. Stephen Gundry, that plants don't want to be eaten. They defend themselves by putting out those chemicals. And I was like, you know what? You eat spinach. Maybe it's the spinach that you should cut out. Let's just try and see that. Cut it out. We didn't even realize that the pain went away. And he just, because it wasn't like he was complaining every single day. Like, it would be like 1 week was really bad, and then other weeks when it was like, it'll be fine. But it was consistent for like 9-10 years. Yeah. Eventually, one day we had forgotten about it. We came back from the beach, passed by Publix. He grabbed a bag of Publix because he hadn't had a bag of spinach, because he had not had it in a long time. He just wanted something different than meat. Like, in an instant, everything came back. Like, he was out for 3 days after that. And that's when we knew for a fact, like, okay, that's it. It's the spinach.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Spinach has aquaporins in it. Those are plant self-defense chemicals. Other than the oxalate. Oxalates are another problem in spinach. But on top of that, they've got aquaporins. So his issue is with the aquaporins, because after we figured that out, he ate corn once a year, because he never eats it. But we went to for Thanksgiving to North Carolina with his family and ate corn. And the same thing happened after we had thought that we've completely overcome the low back thing. And so now it's like, okay, you can't have aquaporins. So that means no soy, and no corn.
It's amazing. Food is medicine, but
yeah,
a lot of people treat the wrong foods as they should be medicine, and they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
That word oxalate, that sounds familiar. Is that an anti-nutrient, if I understand correctly, that's found in plants?
Yes. So Sally K. Norton is the expert on oxalates, and I'm so glad that I'm going to be able to interview her soon on my channel. We're going to dive into all of that. A lot of people don't realize that they are so sensitive to oxalates. They're found in things like sweet potatoes, rhubarb, chocolate, beer, and they are a form of plant self-defense plant self-defense mechanism. Liam Hemsworth, the actor, when he got married to Miley Cyrus, they were both vegan. She was doing veganism. Now she stopped because I quote what she said on Joe Rogan podcast. She said that her brain literally stopped working. She had to go back. Yeah, because
most vegans I know don't have a working brain anyways.
So because she wasn't getting fish, she wasn't getting omega-3s. So she stopped doing that. And he gave an interview for Men's Health, and he said that he stopped. And he said that the vegan diet gave him a kidney stone, and he had to get surgery. And if you know anybody who's got kidney stones, it's one of the most painful things that one can go through.
I had one when I was pregnant with our son, and it was awful.
There you go. Yeah.
No fun.
So yeah, he would have like a spinach and almond milk smoothie in the morning, and both of those things are like oxalate bombs. Spinach and almonds are the two top foods highest in oxalate content. So yeah, that green smoothie that people love to have in the morning, probably the worst thing you can do.
Seriously. Yeah. You know, it's funny that you mentioned spinach, because that makes a lot of sense. I used to eat spinach salads and green salads quite a bit just because everybody says that you should. And so I'm like, all right. And so I'm eating green salads. And then I switched from, I think it was just because of cost, or because like the spinach wasn't good or something.
No,
And so,
last year
excuse me, honey, I'm still
sorry.
talking. And so we switched over to iceberg lettuce, which has no nutritional value. And we have relatives like, no, there's no nutrition in that, right? And I'm like, yeah, but there's worse nutrition in the green stuff. And I feel better when I eat just literally iceberg lettuce.
Yeah. Iceberg actually is very low in anti-nutrient content compared to spinach. 100%. Actually, the darker, like the dark green leafy vegetables are the worst in terms of concentration of those kinds of stuff. Lettuce is, I'm not going to say harmless, because I used to say avocados are harmless. And then I realized they have something called persin in them, which is another anti-nutrient. So again, no plant wants to be eaten, you know? And so, yeah, maybe in the future, I haven't even looked into the research. Maybe in the future, I'll be like, well, lettuce has that too. But from what I know so far, I would say that, yeah, lettuce is the least harmful for sure.
It was so funny on your interview with Chris Bell, where you were talking about fiber, and he was like, yeah, I have fiber from time to time. And you were like, I mean, it's better than going to McDonald's. Like, I just died laughing. That was so well said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nothing but respect to Mark, by the way. I mean, we know who we're talking about here.
Oh, no.
Chris Bell, sorry. Get the two confused.
I know.
So we do have a question from one of our clients about vegetables for you. So since we're on the topic, if that's okay if I ask it, this is from Osama, and he has been, how long has he been carnivore or keto?
Osama, he's been off and on keto / carnivore for the last 2 years. He's been a client of ours for like 5 years.
Yeah.
In Seattle, Washington.
Yeah. And so he's just wondering, like, if there are any vegetables that you eat, and I feel like I already know the answer to that question. And then he was just saying that he likes to eat salad and cauliflower rice. So, you know, if there any hurt in eating those while on the carnivore diet.
So not everybody is equally sensitive to those plant foods, right? Some people can eat all the veggies and they're great, you know, they don't have any health ailments. So the question is, does that person have any kind of autoimmunity? Do they have any kind of skin issues, psoriasis, vitiligo, eczema, acne? Adult acne is on the rise. Do they have soreness, aches and pains after their workouts, and they feel like they have to have more recovery? Or they, like for me on carnivore, I don't even need a recovery day. I don't take a recovery day. Whereas when I was doing keto, I was constantly thinking, is it time? Because I'm feeling achy.
Yeah.
So it depends. Is he complaining about anything? Maybe even a little bit less energy. You know, all those things could be due to consuming the cauliflower. Remember, cauliflower and broccoli are a very, very recent addition to our food supply. They have been hybridized from the toxic mustard plant. There is a reason why mustard oil is illegal to be sold in the United States. It's a toxin. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Say that again.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So they've hybridized it to make all of the cruciferous veggies on the market, actually cabbage, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and cauliflower. All of those are derived from the same plant.
Yeah.
But especially broccoli and cauliflower. Well, actually, especially broccoli. I'm not sure cauliflower when it became popular to consume in the States, but I do know that for broccoli, less than 100 years we started eating it in the United States.
Yeah.
They some Italians brought it over from Italy, where it was consumed, and started growing it in the States in the early 1900s. But it didn't take off until like the mid 1950s, when we were told that that's a health food, and people actually started eating more broccoli. So very recent addition. We haven't had enough time for our bodies to adapt to that environmental change without it affecting us negatively.
Yeah.
And you've got way too many compounds in those cruciferous vegetables that are not very good, flat out harmful for our thyroid health, erucic acid, which is a toxin, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, and I know for us, we can't eat broccoli. Broccoli does not agree with us. But we we've eaten cauliflower, but it's always been cooked. It's always been air fried. And so I think that definitely changes things. Like if I were to eat raw cauliflower, first of all, I don't know anybody who'd like to do that anyways.
Savage.
Yeah. But
it's good with ketchup and mayo. My mom used to make it for us when we were growing up, like a dip. Yeah, cocktail sauce.
Oh, that's funny.
Not recommended.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to ask him that because I know for sure, like he's a little bit more sensitive to certain things, and I'm then indifferent than I am. So I think that'll just be good questions.
That man loves his cauliflower rice, though.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe it doesn't bother him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, he might be able to tolerate it. You know, there are so many things that influence whether or not somebody can tolerate those foods. If they've been breastfed, the longer you've been breastfed, the thicker that gut lining is, and the more defenses you have. So you don't actually absorb those anti-nutrients where they can do damage. If you haven't been taking antibiotics, so if you've generally been healthy, didn't take antibiotics, or you don't take pain medication like Aleve on a regular basis, all those things damage the gut lining.
Yeah,
that's the real issue. Having that damage to the gut lining is when you start having a leaky gut where things can cross over and cause issues. So he might be fine. And if that keeps him consistent, at the end of the day, it is the consistency that matters most.
Awesome. Wonderful. I'll make sure to also ask him how long he was breastfeeding with his mom, and then.
Hey, it's a legitimate question. My husband was breastfed for 3 years, doesn't know what a headache is, has no idea what a headache is, no health problems whatsoever. It's amazing, you know, like you're a genetic freak. I hate you.
No, that's magic gold right there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
We're fans of breastfeeding.
We're friends.
Yeah.
Well, he supports you in his, with his soul, right? Yeah. And your thoughts.
Oh, we better keep this rated PG.
All right. You want to go into these?
Yeah. Cool. So first question is from Jonathan Griffiths, who we found out because of you interviewing him. So thank you again for that. Sure. And that probably had something to do about how we all got connected, but that's kind of the nice thing about
I found out about you from Jonathan.
Okay, there we go. Yep.
That's how, yeah.
Yeah. But
then I reached out to you, right? I emailed you for an interview. That's how it happened.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's only the low carb community. It's like the low carb, keto, carnivore, everybody kind of has each other's backs, and the science is coming out, but there's not like as much because there's just, I think it was you that was talking about this too on one of your other podcasts. I don't remember which one, but about how there's just no money in selling steak. It's like there's a lot of money in all these vegan processed foods and like all these workarounds and everything.
Because it makes people sick.
Yeah, but the government doesn't want us to be healthy. The government wants us to be sick so they can fix us.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's not like the government doesn't want us to be healthy. See, it's like the politicians, they want to get elected. Okay. For them to get elected, they need money. Because nobody's going to elect an unknown, right? Yeah. So to be able to become known, you need campaign money. Mm-hmm. And so they have to accept money. Well, they don't have to, they just do accept money from everywhere. Who has the most amount of money? The food companies, especially the addictive food companies, because since we have over 80% overweight and obesity rates in the United States, that means over 80% of us are eating addictive foods, right? Yeah. So that's the sector that has the most amount of money. And so they can afford to give money to the politicians' campaigns. Same thing with the pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, like the whole system works on that addiction model. Mm-hmm. So now the politicians get elected. It's not like they intentionally want to harm us or harm their children, but they justified it's like, that's the only way I can get elected. I'm a politician and they've given me the money, so now I kind of have to tread carefully. This is what happened when the Obamas were elected, and Michelle Obama, I don't know if anybody's listening, watch Fed Up documentary. It came out in 2014. They talk about the politics behind it. It's one of the best documentaries. I make my students watch it every semester. So they talk about it in the documentary where she got elected, they got elected, and she took on obesity as a cause, as a first lady's cause, and wanted to go after that. And she called it Let's Move campaign. And Let's Move was meant to evoke action against the whole food environment. She wanted to do something completely revolutionary, like completely rethink the foods we're giving our children. So of course they freaked out, all the food companies, when they heard her talk about it so seriously. So they volunteered to help. So they started meeting with her, and from that to the conclusion of what happened, it changed. The whole Let's Move campaign changed slowly but surely into activity. Let's get our children active. It's not about whether or not you want to force them to eat their veggies. It's about having them to, getting them to move. And she very quickly realized that she can't really do that much change, and so very quietly changed that. So you're going up against a lot of influence, money, and power, so politicians aren't multimillionaires, a lot of them, that's their job, but it's not like they have billions of dollars to be able to not take that money, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the keto community, the carnivore community, we get accused of like having like a cult mentality or something. But whenever I talk to someone that is also has the same views on nutrition, it's like, I feel like we've known each other our entire lives. And like, I feel like I know you, and I feel like you and I trust each other, and we do. And Jonathan, same thing. And you talk to, the inventor of the BioSense breath ketone monitor, Jim Howard, it's like somebody like that willing to just drop everything he's doing and give us his time and help us understand how the device works and why he invented it. It's like, you don't see that level of camaraderie and people having each other's backs in very many different industries. So
because we feel like we're a minority, so
we are.
It's like, all right, like this is the truth. This is what's working, and we're the ones that are honest about like what's working and what's not. So like people need to hear this message.
Exactly. And when we get censored, it gets us even closer together. That's good.
Okay. So on that note, Mr. Jonathan would like to ask, do you, Dr. Sarah, have a competition coming up in competitive physique? You have a wonderful physique.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. First of all, hi, Jonathan. It's been a while. I don't have a competition planned. I haven't signed up. I did sign up once a long time ago, but not like, I don't have any, but I know because I told Jonathan that I am thinking about it, but I still have not. Trust me, once I do, everybody's gonna know, because I'm gonna tell the world that like, that's it. That's the show that I'm gonna do, and prep starts today, but not just yet. But it's something I always have my, my eyes on that. So
good. Well, we're excited for when that day comes. Have you noticed this is also from Jonathan, have you noticed any difference in dreams? Like your sleep quality since being on the carnivore diet? Have your dreams changed at all?
Have my dreams changed at all? I generally sleep very well. The thing that I would say I've noticed with sleep is that I need less sleep with carnivore. But with dreams, I don't generally oftentimes I don't even remember my dreams. I'm such a deep sleeper. So I wouldn't say that's something that I noticed, but definitely less sleep needs. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Glenn Cook from Vancouver, Washington he says that AARP claims that the ketogenic diet is extremely unhealthy for organs, longevity, etc. And they just kind of ranted on the ketogenic diet. So I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, so did the American Heart Association, and they still do. Up until now, they're trying to weasel their way back into the keto community by publishing an article updating their recommendations for diabetes treatment and saying that keto can also be healthy for heart health and for those who have diabetes. So the problem with those large organizations, from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics to the American Heart Association to the AARP, is that the reason we hear about them, the reason why they're influential is because they accept a lot of sponsorships and money, and they work hand in hand with the food companies and the pharmaceutical companies. And so when the sheer amount of money that I could be making right now, if I accepted every food company that sends me an email for a sponsorship, I'd be set. But I don't, because I don't accept 99% of the requests that I get. And that's because if I don't believe in it, there's no amount of money you can pay me to promote something I don't believe in it. And even if somebody thinks that they can do that, your audience won't buy it. People can see right through you, whether or not you're saying the truth or you're lying.
Yeah.
So the reason why we hear about them, I mean, remember, for example, great example, the American Heart Association was a series of literally like 6 cardiologists that got together and put their organizations together. Nobody had heard of the AHA. They weren't on the map until Procter & Gamble, their PR firm in the early 1900s, decided that they wanted to expand their market for the engine lubricants that they were selling, specifically cottonseed oil. They figured, we're doing this, the cotton production, but we've got the oil that we're throwing away. What if we can make money off of the waste product?
Oh, nice.
Yes, so they chose the American Heart Association's grant application. They chose them from their charity arm, like who are they going to give money to as charity? So they chose the AHA's proposal, and the agreement was that Procter & Gamble gave the American Heart Association $1.5 million. That's way back in the early 1900s. Like, that was a lot of money. And in exchange, the American Heart Association started promoting the cottonseed oil and all the other industrial seed oils, also known as engine lubricants, as healthier fats than animal fats, because animal fats were the competition back then, because that's what we used to cook.
Yeah.
So I think that tells us everything we need to know about those large organizations, institutions that can go ahead and say that the ketogenic diet, which is the diet that we ate for 99.99% of our existence as a species here on Earth, is now all of a sudden responsible for modern diseases that weren't there back then.
Yeah.
I saw
makes no sense. And okay, just as a exclamation point to what you just said, as a personal testimony, there's a difference between, like, I've eaten the exact same macros, and I do this a lot. But I'll eat the exact same macros with nuts and like plant-based sources before a workout. My workout is terrible. I will eat the exact same macros, and it's eggs, bacon, and it's meat-based fat sources. I'm eating the exact same amount of fat, and my workouts are great. My mental clarity is there. I don't feel bloated. I get a good pump. My energy's better. There's something, and it just makes common sense when you look at a nut and the fat that's in it and what you're eating, that's a plant. And when you're eating an animal, the fat that's in the animal is just more similar to your own body fat. And it just makes common sense that your body would be able to better recognize it and know what to do with it.
100% agreed. Yeah, well put.
Money speaks. If we've learned anything, it's like money is the all-powerful thing that speaks in our world. And
the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah. But what I was going to say though is, I think Sean Baker posted this, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it was basically like, the most consumed foods that we have today, and in the American society, are new as of the last 60 years. They've been created in the last 60 years, not outside of like a carnivore-based diet. And 60% of the diseases now were never existent before then. And it's because of those foods, but people don't make that correlation that they get sick from the foods they eat. And that autoimmune comes from things that you're consuming. I mean, not all the time, but most of the time it is. And I noticed that with both of our kids, who, after I stopped breastfeeding them around like 20 months for each of them. And their eczema, like both of them have struggled with eczema, specifically our son. But around that time when I weaned them and I transitioned them to just regular store milk, that has a ton of sugar in it, and that isn't good. Their eczema just took off. And I wasn't like, we were at that time paleo, but with an asterisk, but for our kids, because we're like, oh, we don't need to put our kids in the paleo diet. But it is amazing how their eczema flares up when they have things that are not like that they shouldn't be having, like when they have bread, or when they have potatoes besides sweet potatoes, and they crackers.
Goldfish.
Yeah. And so the last, like,
did you say fish?
Goldfish, like crackers.
I was like, wait, that can't be right.
I mean, let alone it affecting, their selves, like their skin, but it affects their attitude. It affects them mentally. It affects just how they act. And so it's like food is just, it can be a very positive thing, but it can also be a very extremely negative thing. And most of the society is like, well, you need to have balance in your life, when you need to eat sugar, and don't cut yourself short and whatever. Just enjoy your life. And I just think it's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
And like, listen to your body.
100%. Guess who loves that message? All the food companies.
Mm-hmm.
They love promoting the balance is key message, right? It doesn't matter where your calories are coming from, as long as you count your calories. I had a conference, a continuing education conference, back when I was still in Lebanon, completing my master's degree in nutrition dietetics. And they held a nutrition conference. And it was at the American University of Beirut, which is like a very prestigious university there. And it was sponsored by Coca Cola. And after everybody gave their presentations, the spokesperson for Coca Cola, she was a Turkish medical doctor, so I guess she did like the Middle East region, and she would come at the end and she did her presentation to close it up. And the whole idea was that it doesn't matter if you're drinking Coca Cola. As a matter of fact, Coca Cola is a great beverage because it allows you to meet your hydration requirements. I kid you not.
Oh, no.
Yes. And then they wouldn't take any of our questions at the end. So
of course.
They had like two students. They're like, okay, you're going to ask and you're going to ask this question, because once she finished, all our hands went up. Like, we wanted to grill her, I mean, a bunch of dietitians, and you're telling us that, like, come on. But
it's money. And I'll never forget in college, I was studying nutrition in college, and then they dropped the program, but one of my first nutrition classes off the bat was taught by a very overweight, unhealthy person. And the first day she said that it doesn't matter if you get your calories for your daily's worth of calories from Twinkies or from Whole Foods. It just matters about how much you're eating. And I just was so mad. Were we dating at that point in time? Oh my gosh. I was so like livid with that. And I just cannot believe that things like that are even taught. It just, if it fits your macros.
So wrong. Yes. No, it took me a long time, unfortunately, to learn the lesson. Never take advice from people you don't want to end up like, whether that's in fitness or in financial, whatever it is. That person who's telling you what to do, they better have it together.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why you have the loyal following that you have, said Dr. Sarah. I mean, the short amount of time that we've known each other, something that I've noticed about your YouTube channel and your followers on Instagram, like, you have a huge loyal like tribe. I mean, like, these people trust you and what you're saying, and it's because you're not only an expert on all this, but you walk the walk. I mean, you literally live it and put all of this into action. And we didn't exactly find that at Eastern Washington University. Go Eagles.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Most academic programs, by the way, most professors are not really, because, an economics professor who's telling you how to run your finances, if they had made it, they wouldn't be a professor getting paid 70 to 100K.
Yes.
And like,
so let's remember that. Yeah.
And like all of our friends that are taking business classes, and I'm like, I know, but some of the best business experience I've ever had is just learning from somebody that did it. And he was never a professor, So.
Yeah.
Right. The moment you apply things, the theory goes out the window. It's like 99% of the theory I was taught was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I found out is because I did not give up on applying it. I applied it and I applied it again and again, and I kept tweaking it. It's like, this has to work. And then you realize, like, no, the whole recipe is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's theory and what's put into action, like there's at Eastern Washington University, I was playing with some of the most gifted jazz improvisationalists. Is that a word?
I don't know.
Improvisers, some of the most gifted musicians I've ever played with in my life. And I knew theory 10 times better than any of them did. But what makes mathematical sense and what I can like write down on paper and transcribe and, oh, okay, if you want to put this from a bass clef to a treble clef, blah, 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 it just means everything goes 2 lines up or down or whatever. It's like, there's that. And then actually being able to be a proficient musician and make a living out of it. And there's just a big difference there. It's the same thing in music.
Some of the biggest stars, they barely know any music theory. They just go with the emotion, and that's it.
Most famous guitar players can't even read sheet music.
It's true. Yeah.
And then you have people like Bill Gates.
Don't even get us started on vocalists. I'm sorry.
But then you have people like Bill Gates, and then we can be off this topic, I promise. But Joe Rogan had the best clip on Instagram a few days ago, and it was like, I would never take health advice from this guy. He's fat, he has man boobs, he has this huge belly, and he looks like he's 90 years old. Why would anybody ever take health advice from this man? And I'm like, yes.
I was listening to that podcast. It was with Diana Rogers and Rob, what's the paleo guy? Rob Wolf, I think is his name.
All I saw was the clip, and I was like, this is awesome.
I was literally 2 days ago, I was listening to it, that same thing in the morning. And he was like, I mean, dude, you're sick. Don't tell me what I should be eating or that I should be eating bugs. Come on.
And just for the record, we're not fat shaming anybody. We're not, if it's just saying that if you're,
look where you take advice from.
Like speak on what you're qualified for. Otherwise,
exactly. No. The whole fat shaming thing I think has gotten out of hand. Like now, to state that obesity is a disease, you're basically fat shaming. And I shared something on my story the other day on my Instagram. A woman and I follow this page for female empowerment, like female bosses or something like that. So it's all about, female, like strong women and stuff like that. And for the most part, it's great messaging, but then there's also this other thing that, being overweight and obese is healthy. And so this woman, they posted that and I reshared it. I'm like, when we start redefining what is healthy, like being bloated and having like a lot of excess body fat and calling that healthy, that's why when we had, what happened 2 years ago, don't worry, we're not gonna get censored. And you would read the articles, like perfectly healthy couple, like in the ER fighting for their health. I'm like, and then they show their pictures, like, really? That's perfectly healthy? Just because you're not taking insulin shots and you don't have like an end stage disease doesn't mean that you're healthy,
Absolutely.
So,
exactly. Everybody makes such a big deal about all these bodybuilders that are dying. And I'm like, like you could make a case for that for any group of people. Like people die. That's what people do. Okay. As soon as you're born, you start dying. And most bodybuilders that I know personally are very, very healthy people.
Yeah. I mean, if you're taking drugs, I'm not an expert, so I don't know the side effects. So that might explain it. But if you're natural, I mean, I live with one, so I know how healthy that can be.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a good rant.
Let's settle down a little bit after that. Okay, this will be a day brightener. Jenny Ensley from Butte, Montana. She is one of our clients. She is a fitness
she's a personal trainer too.
Instructor herself. Yep. She would like to know, how do you determine what your sodium requirements are?
So definitely not the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics upper limit of 2,325 milligrams of sodium allowance per day. That's like literally the amount of salt, the amount of sodium found in a teaspoon of salt. That's the recommendation, right? That you shouldn't go above that. That is sodium is a problem only within the context of carbohydrates, because when you're eating carbs and your body releases insulin, that causes your kidneys to retain electrolytes like sodium, and then that becomes a problem. But even then, it's like only 10% of the population. I remember I had a professor back when I was doing my master's, that was all he did. Like he researched minerals and electrolytes, right? And he was like, this whole idea with salt being a problem, and even within a context of a moderate carbohydrate diet or a high carbohydrate diet, it's still not a problem because only 10% of the population is what we call sodium sensitive. But let's say you are part of that 10% that is sodium sensitive and your body reacts to it. Once you cut out the carbohydrates, this is why we see blood pressure normalizing so quickly on a ketogenic diet and a carnivore diet, because the moment you remove the carbohydrates, your kidneys no longer retain that sodium or all the other electrolytes.
Wow.
And so your blood pressure drops very quickly. I have a client right now, and like one of the biggest disclaimers, I'm like, you have to measure your blood pressure every day, multiple times a day, because now you're doing carnivore. You're not going to be having to take your blood pressure medication anymore very soon. Make sure your doctor knows so you can taper it very quickly so that you don't have very low blood pressure. Because if you have normal blood pressure now and you're still taking the hypertension pill, so now that can lead to a very low blood pressure, right? It's the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't worry about the sodium. If anything, I urge you to add more sodium because that's how you're going to have more energy. It's actually great pre-workout when you're doing carnivore or keto even. Yeah. It leads your body to retain also the water. And so when you have more water in your body, so your blood volume goes back up again and it fills your blood vessels. So your blood pressure goes to a normal range. So not too high, but not too low. And that is going to give you energy and you're not going to feel lethargic. That's the whole idea behind the keto flu, right? Keto flu is you go from carbs to no carbs, your blood pressure drops, blood volume goes down. You can prevent that simply by making sure you start including way more sodium and electrolytes and fluids on a carnivore or keto diet. So bone broth is a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well said. Thank you so much for that. And
sure.
What's recommended, I had no idea. I mean, I literally dry scooped that like just to get going during the day. And then
I was just thinking that's like half of what you put in your cup of coffee.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's just like the more the better is what my last bodybuilding coach, and he's not even a keto fanatic at all anyway, but he was saying that the more salt the better.
Yeah. So you put scoops of salt in your coffee.
Yeah, we both do.
Yeah, I put salt like literally in everything.
His huge water jug is salt water with lemon.
Interesting.
That he drinks. But in the coffee, it brings out the flavor. It's really good. Like we use Celtic sea salt.
Muscle pumps are great. Like it's so important for a good workout.
Yeah, we use Celtic sea salt in our coffee and it's super smooth. And so it tastes so good. It brings the flavor out of the coffee. So I do like 2 finger pinches. I don't know how much you do. Probably a lot more because you're more used to it.
And I need to start tracking it now.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. We're just getting onto the Redmond's real salt, real salt or whatever.
Just straight sodium.
Yeah. But Celtic sea salt has
twice as much potassium as sodium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The more potassium you take in, the more sodium you excrete. So that's another so that's another thing. If you might feel if it's too much potassium versus sodium, you might feel like you need more sodium. So I think it's just testing it out and seeing how you feel your best so that you know how much sodium your body would want. Generally, I would recommend go to the most natural source available. So like you were saying, Redmond sea salt, Himalayan pink salt. They're the same. Redmond sea salt and Himalayan pink salt, they're the same. The only difference is really geography, where they're getting it from.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
They look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense too, what you were saying. Robert Sykes recommends a 2-to-1 as a ballpark, like just kind of to get started.
Right.
Sodium to potassium. So.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Very, very good. Jenny would also like to ask, what are some abnormal things to expect when transitioning to carnivore? She actually has experienced just a dry mouth.
Yeah, that might be
all the meat.
That might be dehydration, and that might also be if you continuously are still having coffee. That can, like, those things that were present probably before, and now you feel them more. Because you're more in tune with your body. But yeah, I I think just drink more water, but before you drink more water, I think cut out anything that messes with your thirst signals, and caffeine is a big one. So caffeine is found in coffee and tea.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you ever add fats besides what's in your meat into your diet, such as like MCT oil?
No, I try to stay away from plants just in general. And there was a time when I was doing keto, I would do MCT oil, but now I know I just, and another thing, I don't drink coffee anymore. So it's been over 6 months now without any caffeine. So it's not like I'm having a beverage where you can add that to, no. So what I do is just cream cheese or sour cream.
Or butter.
Yeah, or butter. Yeah, if I need to. And I try not to overdo it. I prefer to get excess fat from fattier meat,
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris McQueen from Newport, North Carolina would like to ask, can the carnivore diet help with neurological issues?
Oh, 1000%. I mean, I had an interview with Dr. Anthony Chafee that's on my YouTube channel, where he talks about his experience with his father developing Parkinson's disease. And once he put him on a carnivore diet, like all the symptoms literally reversed. And he was already at a very advanced age. Wow. And I mean, just go to Revero.com, the Sean Baker's website, where they have the success stories, and you'll see just mind-blowing success stories on all kinds of neurological issues. I mean, everything, because everything for the most part comes down to autoimmunity. Your own body, your own body's immune system is freaking out and starts attacking different organs, whether that's the nervous system or other organs in your system.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody that you've worked with that has had Crohn's disease and that you've helped them with like going from carnivore while on Crohn's?
I had a student, so it wasn't like it was a paid consult, but I have students also that I help, just by emails and stuff that complete, like this is one of the easiest things actually, Crohn's and digestive issues. Yes, I've had that. I've had on a regular basis, the bloating goes away once they go on carnivore. Yeah.
So in that case, we've just started working with a couple high school students, and one of them was just diagnosed with Crohn's. He's what, 15, 14,
he
15?
Calvin, excuse me.
Calvin.
I was good. Yeah, it's Calvin. Calvin's the older one. He's 14.
He's 14. Yeah. So he was just diagnosed with Crohn's, and I think they're being sent to a nutritionist. And so we just said that we'd talk to you to see if you have any suggestions with him, either going keto or carnivore, because I'm not sure what the nutritionist recommended.
Carnivore. No, I wouldn't do keto. I would do carnivore, because ulcerative colitis, that's autoimmune. The first thing you want to do is eliminate all plants, everything.
Okay.
All plants. Yeah. Even herbs and seasonings, I would cut those out.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Okay. That was Katrina's question.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Cool. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I got one. That's all right. So
go ahead.
Great. So I was studying your apple cider vinegar video, which the science on it, like you have an ability to take what's extremely complicated and still use all the same terms, but somehow explain it in a way that my bicep brain can understand it.
Thank you. Sometimes I worry that I use too much jargon or, so thank you for saying that.
Well, you're very animated in how you talk. And I think most of the research that I try to do, it's just like so monotone and boring and I can't focus on it. I'm like, what the heck? But like when like you bring like your feelings and your passion into it and everything. And like, I don't know, it just really sticks. So
thank you.
No, thank you. So when it comes to apple cider vinegar, I've been taking a shot of it every single morning. The same one, I think Bragg's or whatever the one that you recommend.
Yeah, that's the best. Okay. Bragg's, unfiltered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've been taking that, and my bodybuilding coach has always sworn by it too. And especially like if I wake up feeling bloated, because I usually eat a pretty big meal like right before bed, and so like I'll wake up and still kind of feel the food digesting. And if I ever feel too bloated or like I got less sleep and it hasn't had time to really all digest yet, take a shot of apple cider vinegar and it's like 5 minutes later, I feel great and I almost feel like I have an empty stomach. And so I can take my dog out, go for a run and everything. And I mean, just like for overall health, I really enjoy just one shot of apple cider vinegar first thing in the morning. I've been doing that for a while. However, in January of this year, stressful month, a lot of stuff going on, but found myself in the hospital with a stomach ulcer. and was like the worst pain in my life. Like literally thought I was going to die. If I had my gun with me, I literally would have shot myself in the foot just to get my mind off of how bad my stomach hurt. Like I would take that over it. Like that's how bad it was. So stopped taking apple cider vinegar, and since then I've kind of started doing it a little bit. But I remember you saying that it can damage your stomach lining. So
yes, and your tooth enamel.
Yeah. Curious if you have any suggestions.
Yeah, don't do that anymore. As a matter of fact, that's I should probably film another video. I have older videos sometimes like on honey, and I was like, honey, Manuka honey is wonderful, and then I updated that and I'm like, no more honey, everybody. Let's stop doing that. So I guess I should update the apple cider vinegar. Yeah, I would not recommend it anymore for anybody. The reason why there's so much or the one area where you could take vinegar is if you have a real damage to your liver for whatever reason. It's been shown that it can regenerate liver cells. We call them hepatocytes. So it regenerates them and helps them detoxify. So that only if we have like a very specific case. But even with that, I think we can do those things in better ways because, like you said, you suffered an ulcer. Not only that, over time, it's going to erode the enamel on your teeth.
He already has that problem.
I already been there. I already got feelings.
Yeah.
There you go. The only reason why it is so popular is because there is very solid evidence that it lowers your blood sugar levels by like 30%. And so we all want lower blood glucose levels because generally the main problem is that people have too high of a blood glucose level. But how about not eating carbs? Then we don't need to put acid in our bodies and suffer the consequences. So update, apple cider vinegar, not recommended.
And it doesn't taste good anyway. So why do it if you don't have to?
I mean, I certainly won't miss it.
Huh?
I mean, I certainly won't miss it.
Yeah. Right. And then the ones that you get from the market, they're pumped with sugar. It's like,
well, and now they have like apple cider vinegar gummies and capsules and like everything. I'm like, it's completely canceling any positive side effect when you add sugar.
Yeah. That's just marketing. There's no, just cut that out.
Okay. I have one last question and then I know it's past the hour, but I was just curious. Do you take any vitamins or supplements?
Yes, I take vitamin D, and I take magnesium, and I take organ beef supplements.
Nice.
And the only thing is the omega-3s. I'm not doing that right now, but I am having salmon.
Yeah.
So
nice.
The omega-3 is a little more of a complex topic, but yeah, that's what I also, every YouTube video of mine, especially the most recent ones, have the updated supplementation protocol that I generally think most people will benefit from.
Wow. Am I correct in saying that I didn't hear vitamin C anywhere in there?
Yes. Yeah. You don't need it. And besides, I'm getting it from the beef organs. Remember, you're eating organs or taking them as a supplement. That's your natural multivitamin. They have like very high levels of all kinds of nutrients. So, and besides, once you take out the carbohydrates, your body's needs for vitamin C drop dramatically. And then there's another problem. If you're taking vitamin C supplements, that can turn into oxalates. Remember the oxalates we talked about earlier, which are very problematic for a lot of people?
Yeah.
You do not want to create more oxalates in your body.
Right.
Wow.
So there's no need.
Yeah. Paul Saladino in his book, The Carnivore Code, page 231. Apparently there's, according to Dr. Saladino, there's 25 milligrams of vitamin C in beef liver. That's more than,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's more than blueberries. It's more than kale.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But then they would tell you, well, what about citrusy fruits, right? And then the answer would be, if you're having citrusy fruits, you're also having the sugar, and then the sugar is gonna block. Sugar, or glucose specifically, shares the same receptor with vitamin C. The more glucose you have, the more it blocks vitamin C. And remember, you're getting vitamin C in milligram amounts versus glucose, you're getting it in gram amounts in the food.
Right.
So the receptors aren't going to absorb the vitamin C. Not only that, you only need more than 10 milligrams to prevent scurvy.
Wow.
Yeah.
You already beat me to everything I was looking for, but no, Sean Baker in his book, The Carnivore Diet, he says everything that you just said too. And yeah, like basically,
great book. Yeah.
When you drink orange juice or eat anything that is citrusy for vitamin C, you're making your body need more vitamin C. I mean, it's literally just, you're wasting your time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's so funny. Every time our kids get sick, my grandma, she's like, give them some more oranges, give them some more, vitamin C. And I'm like, not in the forms that they have at the store. Like, no, thank you. Like the vitamin C, like vitamins for kids are just full of sugar. It's just not worth it. Like,
Yeah.
they eat lots of meat where they're good with that.
Yeah. Wanted to ask about the vitamin C too, because that's the number one question that I always get asked is like, well, where are you getting your vitamin C? Where are you getting your vitamin C? Like, okay, bro, here's the rundown on vitamin C.
Yeah.
Cool.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. I have a video on that. So if anybody wants like the whole, everything, all the detail, I show you like the chemical structure of vitamin C and glucose and how they look alike and how they share the same receptor. It's an older one, but it's still good.
I'll have to check that out.
I just made a note to not only watch it myself, but to include that in the show notes too. So you'll find a link for it if you're listening.
And isn't it funny how what we were just talking about that happened 2 years ago, everybody was saying like what every natural doctor was saying was to up your vitamin D and to up your zinc. No vitamin C was in there because all the forms of vitamin C were like not usable by your body. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I think it was my internet that wavered for a little bit. So you just literally just froze for the last 30 seconds.
Oh, I was just saying back when, 2 years ago happened, about a year into it, and they started noticing that higher levels of vitamin D and higher levels of zinc is what was going to help if you got sick. And there wasn't any higher levels of vitamin C in there because vitamin C supplements, if you're not getting them from the proper source, they don't work. So
that's good. I didn't even think of that. You're right. But all the studies that were done showed the vitamin D, how powerful, and the zinc, how powerful it was. But of course, you couldn't say that, right? You were censored if you dared to mention the studies.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Do you have any more questions or?
That's all I got.
Right now. I'm so excited for this to come out. I already have a list of people I'm going to send this to because there's a lot of people that have been just intrigued by your story, so I'm excited.
We got a bunch of responses to the email that we sent out, just saying like, I don't have anything, but let me know when it's out because I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
I'm so glad. I'm so excited.
What's up, podcast? Thank you so much for joining us for this entire interview with Dr. Zaldivar. I love saying that name. It's so freaking cool. Also, if you're listening to this at the time of this recording, then happy Memorial Day. Whatever you're doing this weekend, I hope that you travel safe if you are traveling. If it's after Memorial Day 2022, then, well, happy Memorial Day 2023. But seriously, though, I'm feeling super grateful, and I would encourage you to feel the same way because, a lot of our listeners listen to these episodes while they're working out, and if you're having a hard time being motivated to finish your workout or struggling with those last couple sets, just want to encourage you to finish strong and to think about this for a second, that there's a lot of people that gave their lives that you have the opportunity to even be in this amazing country to work out in the first place. So that's something that I was thinking about today. I just finished up back. I just hit a little bit of back today. A little bit of a bicep pump, hit shoulders pretty good yesterday, so I didn't have to worry about that. Anyway, that's not your problem, that's my problem. But just wanted to say, let that gratitude be something that fuels you in your workout, whatever it is that you're doing. Also, if this episode was something that particularly helped you, please share this with a friend. Think of someone that you know that either likes to eat meat or doesn't like to eat meat but probably should. I mean, that's basically everybody. So you can just go through your last couple text messages and go, bro, you need to listen to this episode, or sister, you need to listen to this episode, because Dr. Sarah is on the cutting edge of the science and the education that is coming out around the benefits of low-carb diets, meat-based diets, okay? Super exciting. Super grateful that we were able to have her time on this show. And as always, we're going to wrap up with 2 customer reviews. First one is Loren Hoover. She is a figure competitor. We're about a third of the way into her prep right now. She and I are actually prepping for the same show currently, both of us on ketogenic diets. And so a lot of what we're doing on the nutrition side of things is very, very similar. But our new app, We Strive, has been a huge success. It's given us the opportunity to be able to take on more clients ourselves. And it's been something that's been more convenient for everybody that we've been training, that have been patient as we've made that transition. It's always a lot of work that goes into it, but it's been super worth it. So We Strive is the name of this app. It's what we're using with all of our clients, and this is what she has to say about her experience so far.
I have really enjoyed using the app over the last couple weeks. I can tell that Colt and Taylor have put a lot of work into the app. It's extremely user-friendly. I have all of my workouts in one place. I can just pull up my app, log my workouts with my weights and my reps. My favorite feature is that I can go to any exercise on any day and I can pull up my past PRs. That's been really convenient so that I can track whether I'm feeling stronger or if maybe my energy levels are reduced. I love that it syncs also with the Lose It app, where I log my food so I can make sure that I am tracking my goals as far as my macros are concerned, and my caloric intake. It just has been an amazing app to use so far. I'm able to message Colt and Taylor and they get back to me really quickly. I can go ahead and put in whether my workout felt good that day. I can add little notes so that they can review it later on. And we can, work out a plan if something needs to change. So the app has been super helpful. I know that they have put a lot of work and their heart into this app and making sure that their clients will be successful.
Thank you very much for that, Loren. That was super generous of you. And so if you want to go back, probably 10 or 20 episodes on our show, this is right before Loren started coaching with us. We actually interviewed her about her first show that she did. So she lives in Florida and did absolutely amazing the first show. This is before I even really knew that she was bodybuilding, and she lost 100 pounds. So for that success story, I'm going to put a link to that episode in our show notes, and I'm also going to put a link to her Instagram because she is someone that you're going to want to follow. She looks absolutely amazing right now, and when she steps on stage, it's going to blow your mind. So that is Loren Hoover. Thank you very much for that. Okay, second customer review is on a product called creatine glycerol phosphate. This stuff, if you know me and if you've heard me talk anything about supplements, I have been taking this stuff ever since my coach told me to get on it, and this has been 4 years now. Creatine glycerol phosphate. There's not a lot of science that's been done on the benefits of it, so I just tell everybody, try it for a week, go back to creatine monohydrate, go back and forth and see which one you like better between the two, and I think you'll be shocked. It's been able to help me to stay harder, drier. I don't have all that extra water retention, all the side effects that I used to have from creatine monohydrate. I literally take it the day that I step on stage as a competitive bodybuilder. So this is a review from Curtis in North Dakota. Hey, thanks for the CGP I ordered. My bud from work showed me your stuff, and I've been taking it daily for 4 days now, and I really like it. Also, I appreciate the letter of inspiration you wrote on it. Thanks, man. Absolutely, brother. So thank you very much, Curtis, for that. And lastly, as a token of gratitude, just want all of you podcast listeners to know thank you so much again for listening to our show and for sharing it and for helping promote it. So for you, this is something that we never do. We don't always give out discount codes, but when we do, it's for our podcast listeners and for Christmas and like other random things. We don't give out a lot of them because I don't know how e-commerce companies stay in business. Maybe that's why so many of them go out of business by being too, liberal with their use of discount codes. But for this one, we feel like it's a good one. The discount code for 15% off of our entire website, I'm talking everything, is God bless the troops. All one word, just like it sounds. We're not going to share this with anybody else. If you want to share it, great. But share the podcast or something if you're doing it while you're at it. Please, that's all we're asking. And this goes for everything. It goes for CGP, creatine glycerol phosphate. We got pre-workouts. We got protein powder. We're fully stocked in everything on our website unless it says sold out. But we are completely on top of our inventory. I'm holding in my hands right now. If you're on YouTube, you can see this. Fantastic. If not, you should check out our YouTube channel. I invite you to do that. It's called Skullbellz TV. I'll put a link to that in the audio version of this podcast. But I'm holding an army green deltoid desolator. This is the cable attachment that we invented and have patented. If you start using this thing, you will learn really quick why we designed it the way that we did. It's got silicone handles on it, so you can't beat the grip. It beats the heck out of anything that is imported. It's probably the best cable attachment that you'll ever use. They're $55, and so it's under $50 with the 15% off. Other than that, we got merchandise on our websites. We got t-shirts that are dark on the bottom. Again, if you're on YouTube, you can see them behind me. It's a little dark lighting, but everything's on our website, supersetyourlife.com. Check it out. It means the world to us. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support. Eat some meat. Happy Memorial Day. God bless.